SEO, search engine optimization. Basically, that's a fancy way of saying how do I get to the top of Google? That is a objective for many businesses because if you can get ranking on Google, you get free traffic for a very long time. However, it takes some work. You need to get your website into a place where Google is sure that what you are providing is valuable and therefore it will serve it up to people who use Google. Because if Google did not do that and they just served up any old trash, people would lose faith in Google, they would stop using Google and Google would crash and cease to exist. So what we need to do is prepare the content inside of our website so that it is high value, high quality, and Google can read it and know that it is high quality and high value. That is the process of search engine optimization, SEO. How do we get to the top of Google? I'm going to be showing you how you can do this with artificial intelligence. Previously, and I know this because I used to run a business, previously you'd have to do it through an agency. You would hire an SEO agent. They would, on a monthly basis, do audits and SEO work for you. It was not cheap. I used to charge a couple of £1,000s per month. If you're a very large business with a very large website, it's going to cost even more. It'd be in the tens of thousands easily. This as a business model is basically dead. I haven't been doing this for the last couple of years, so I feel okay talking about this. If any of you do run SEO agencies, I'm sorry, you're probably in trouble. We can now do a lot of this work with artificial intelligence, and I'm going to be showing you exactly how we do that today. So a quick preview, I'm going to be showing you how to install and use a Claude skill called Claude SEO. It's a good name for a skill that does SEO. I've put together a whole walkthrough guide about how you set up Claude Code, how you set up the SEO skill, how you run your first audit, what you do with that, how you implement that. And you can get this whole checklist from my website. So it's going to be in the newsletter if you're watching this live, or it will be in a link below this video. So let's jump into it. There we go. So if you did this with an agency, they would charge you a couple of $1,000s per month, at least, probably tens of thousands if you're a larger company. Getting to the top of Google in the organic results is incredibly profitable. You can make a lot of money when people are coming organically to your website. This is worth a lot of money to businesses. However, when you do it with an agency, it's going to be relatively slow. When I used to run an SEO business, when I used to do SEO audits and implementation for clients, we used to say to them, we only do contracts on a 6-month basis because it takes a long time for Google to pick up the results. It takes a long time for this to start moving. And it does. That's absolutely true. If you hire an agency, you're going to be paying them a couple of £1,000s, a couple of $1,000s per month for at least 6 months before any results will be shown. So you're looking at tens of thousands quite easily. That is no longer the case because of artificial intelligence. There are good SEO agencies out there. A lot of them are fly-by-night and a bit trash because SEO is such a black magic dark art that they can give you a PDF that looks like they've done a lot of work, and they give you that PDF every single month and you have no idea what they've actually done. You have no idea if they've been working hard for you or if they've just run a few autonomous tools and printed out a nice PDF and said, oh, yeah, it's kind of working, and then just waiting out the clock until you realize nothing's happening and you fire them. So the old SEO agency model is a bit broken. It was always a bit shit, I'll be honest. And I say this as somebody who was in that model, but we have a new way to do this, thank God, especially if you are a business owner. Now, people will ask, is SEO still important? Why do we need to get to the top of Google? It's a very fair question. Now that we have artificial intelligence, a lot of people are moving away from using Google search to find their information. Instead, they're finding information inside of ChatGPT, inside of Claude, inside of Gemini, which belongs to Google, Perplexity, etc. So people are not necessarily asking Google directly for answers. However, indexing in Google and how Google sees your website directly affects how it shows up in artificial intelligence as well. Because remember that these are still hooked to the internet. They are still hooked to tools like Google, especially Google AI overviews and Gemini, which is Google's artificial intelligence. But even ChatGPT relies more on Bing because they have a Microsoft connection. Claude uses, I think they use Brave for their browsing, but all of them have under the hood connections to the internet, and they're using the internet whilst they scrape all of the information. So if you show up on the internet, if you have lots of other people connecting to you, that shows that you're an authoritative source. That is going to be weighted inside of the large language models. So you still need to show up on the internet. You still need to be important and authoritative in terms of search results so that you also show up in AI. Now, we don't know the exact mechanisms, and there's a whole industry building at the moment. It's either called GEO, Generative Engine Optimization, or AIEO, AI Engine Optimization, which sounds like old MacDonald had a farm. We haven't actually worked out what that's called. I've seen GPTEO, which is absolutely terrible. So this is a new industry. What we do know, whilst we're working out the details, is that ranking on Google helps a lot. We still need to build high quality content. We still need to build content that people link to in order to show up inside of AI as well. Yes, SEO, as it has been for the last 20 years, is dying out or changing, and how we show up in AI is going to be more important, but the same foundations apply. If you optimize your website, if you make sure that computers, that bots can read your information, if you have lots of interlinking websites, if you have lots of traffic, if you have lots of dwell time, people staying on your site, those are still going to be used as signs that what you're producing is good, and therefore you're going to be more heavily indexed inside of large language models. So this is still relevant, it's just changing. It's a transformation. What we're going to do is we are not going to use an SEO agency to do this. Let's say you have a website, you have a blog, or you have a directory site, or you have a site like AI with Kyle. I'll use my own website. I have a homepage here, which has links to various places. I have a course page, which has free courses, a catalog. This is really good for SEO because it is a deep resource where each one of these, let's see, this one has 11,000 words. This is all human written as well. I can go into each of these parts, and can you see how it's interlinked here? It's got a lot of content here. Some of them have videos connected. So there's a lot of rich, deep SEO information here. I have tools, which I use on my front end. All of this stuff is on the website for search engine optimization, for being able to show up on Google. So that's the reason for all of this content, all of these links here. So if you have a website like this, getting an SEO audit for it is going to be expensive. Let me show you what my sitemap looks like, because it's a huge website, because I've been publishing for couple of years now. So my sitemap is actually broken up into various smaller sitemaps. There we go. I'll show you. This is just the pages sitemap. It's loading slowly. There we go. So you can see there's a huge amount of content here. If you were to go to an agency to try and get them to audit and to optimize a website like that, it's going to cost you a huge amount of money. It would be thousands per month easily. So if you're running a business, yeah, maybe that's worthwhile, because when SEO kicks in, you're going to be able to make an extra few £1,000s a month, an extra 10, an extra £20,000 a month. It's worth it, but it's still an investment. It's also going to take a long time. Audits take a week, a couple of weeks, if they're moving fast. Most companies will use their first month for an audit. Even if it only takes them a few hours, they'll charge it as a month. And then when they get to work for you, it's going to be a 6-month, a 12-month plus contract, and you don't really know what they're doing. It's a bit of a black box. Very rarely will an SEO agency share the exact work they're doing, because, well, they say it's because, oh, then you could just copy it, but more likely it's because they're not doing that much. Sorry, guys. So instead, what we're going to do is use Claude Code, and we're going to connect it to a skill. So it's going to cost us $20. For Claude Pro. We will need a Pro account. It's going to take about 3 minutes. It's got AI search strategy built in. You may or may not have that with an AI agency, and if you do, you're definitely going to pay more. And it's going to give you a breakdown that you can act on yourself, and you can cancel it anytime. And what we're going to do is we're going to get this audit, and then we're going to feed that audit into Claude Code to implement for us. So it's going to do all of this work, and it's going to save us a huge amount of money. A huge amount of money. On a website like mine, it's going to save me 100,000 a year at least. I'm going to show you a skill. This is a free skill. I did not build it. It's made by a guy called Agrici Daniel, and it is here. So it's in his GitHub. Here he is, Agrici Daniel. It's got a bunch of other things: Claude Ads, Claude Blog, Banana Claude. Very cool. It's got a bunch of things. What we're going to look at though is Claude SEO in particular. This is a skill. This is free. You have full access to this. You can download this. You can do what you want with it. So there's no cost apart from your Claude. So this is what it looks like. If you've never seen a skill folder before, you'll be looking at this and be like, what is this? This looks technical. I'm not good at technical stuff. Don't worry. We're literally going to give this web page to Claude and say, hey, do this. That's it. That's all we have to do. So this is the website that has the skill. You've got a demonstration of how it is used. And it has a bunch of sub skills and sub agents for you. It has technical SEO, on-page analysis, content quality, schema markup, image optimization, sitemap architecture, AI search optimization, that's GEO, and strategic planning. And it has kind of sub commands that will allow you to run each of these. So we are going to install this. we're going to point it at our website and we're going to let it rip. These are the recommended installation instructions. We are going to ignore that. If you're not used to installing skills, this can be a little bit intimidating. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to install, this is a checklist guide I've written for you, which you can get into newsletter or the link below this video. If you've never used this stuff before, the desktop app. So you're going to download claude.ai/download. There we go. We're going to download this application. It's also available on Windows, but I'm on a Mac right now. So you'll grab that. You're going to log into your Claude, and then you're going to just copy this in. You'll just tell Claude this, install the SEO skill from, and you give it to the web address, and it will sort that all out for you. You don't need to do all of this git cloning and then installing yourself. You can skip all of this. Okay, nice and simple. Again, this guide will be in the newsletter and I'll give you access to everything. But you can also look at his official documentation, but I do understand if you're reading this and you're like, oh, it's a bit scary looking. We're just going to tell Claude, hey, install this and then run this for my website. So I'm pointing you in the direction of this Claude skill and showing you how much money you can save using this. It's going to run all of these on your URL. So you give it aiwithkyle.com or whatever your site is, and it will do a technical SEO check on page analysis. So it's going to go through each page, which on a site like mine, which has a huge sitemap, is going to be a massive job. Content quality, that's going to look at the actual written content of each page. Schema markup, image optimization, AI search, and strategic planning. So things like competitor gaps, action priorities. It's meant to take 3 minutes. It's going to depend on the size of your website. It's going to take a lot longer if you have a huge website, but that is fine. You can break the tasks up. You can set them into sub agents and they will all run in parallel and then come back together. Totally up to you. What I did when I did mine was I set it up and left it overnight running, and it took, I think, about 50 minutes to go through my site. So it depends on your site, depends on your workflow, but it's going to take a little while. So what it's going to give you is a granular breakdown, keyword strategy, so where you can get some quick wins. So for me, it was things like, what is ChatGPT? I didn't have a page which was about what is ChatGPT, because I didn't think about that. I was like, well, that's too obvious. We don't need a page like that. We do need a page like that. So it had identified, oh, you absolutely need a page like this, and this is where you should connect it. So it will help you find those kind of gaps, content gaps. It will do a content analysis, EEAT, it's experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. This is like a Google quality metric that they look for, and scoring per page. And then evaluates AI crawler access. So a lot of websites actually block, and you might have done this by accident, they actually block ChatGPT and Gemini and the other LLM crawlers. Sometimes if you set up using Website Builder, some of them by default actually block large language models, and you want to turn that off. You want to allow the large language models to come and see your stuff, because then that's going to allow, one, yes, they're going to train on your information, so they are going to steal your information, but two, they're going to actually cite you and send you traffic as well. So I'd recommend letting them in personally. That's entirely up to you. But this is kind of all you have to do. I'm not going to overcomplicate this. You're going to install Claude Pro. You're going to type install this skill and give it the URL, this particular URL here. You're going to type in install, and then you're going to tell it to run the skill. That is basically it. It's going to do everything for you. Then you can review it manually, and I highly recommend you do. Make sure that it's not missing anything really obvious, but it's going to be able to do most of the technical work for you. But what we can then do, which is not really covered in this skill in particular, but what we're going to do is we're going to feed this audit back into Claude Code. So we've got this big document, which is all the things that we could do to improve the search engine optimization of our website. We're going to take that document, take all of the findings of the various agents, give them to Claude. Say, hey, Claude Code, I have done an audit on my website. You have access to my website via my GitHub or however you've got it set up. I want you to build a plan to implement these fixes. Prioritize them, work on the most important fixes first, and then you're going to run down this list over time. This will probably be a big job, especially if you've done content analysis on hundreds, if not thousands of pages. There might be thousands of pages that need to be changed. So this is not the kind of job where you just give it to code and say, off you go. Have it put together a project plan, have it put together a to-do list that is going to go through and tick them off once it's done it. And then you're going to leave it over time. This is the kind of thing that would be fantastic to use a scheduled task for. You could set it up so every night at 3 a.m. it wakes up your computer and it sets to work. And it's like, okay, I'm going to batch another 20 pages. Do things like auto-generating meta tags, inject in schema markup, optimize content briefs, etc. So it will just be able to process that over time, because it's going to be a big job that will take a long time. This is the kind of work that if you hired an SEO agency, they would be doing month by month. And they'll say to you, oh, we will optimize for 5 keywords each month, or we will create 10 new blog articles this month, and that's going to cost you $5,000. Instead, you're just going to let Claude Code get on with that in the background. Just schedule up that task using Claude Code scheduled tasks so that it will run and do some fixes and give you a report each morning like, hey, this is what I've done, this is what I've changed, this is what I've added, here are some draft blog articles for you to proof, etc. Very cool. Totally hands off, and it's saving us thousands. Now, we can get fancy here. We can use MCP, which is basically API for AI. That doesn't help. I just gave you even more acronyms. MCP is a way for our AI to direct connectly to other platforms. That's kind of it. So instead of us having to go to a website, download a file and bring it over to Claude, Claude will be able to connect directly, talk to whatever the service is and grab in information. So we can actually start connecting it to things like SEMrush, Google Search Console, page speed insights. We can connect these directly into our SEO audit. I'd connect to PostHog. I use that for my analytics, and I would connect to Google Analytics as well. That would allow my SEO skill to be able to read all of that and see, oh, actually, these pages are doing really well. Using Google Search Console, for example, it'd be able to see over time for pages that it is optimized. So let's say my page, what is ChatGPT? It'd be able to look every week, every month and be like, okay, we're now getting 50 visitors a day from this. We're now getting 150 visitors a day. This is working well. Let's loop back. Maybe let's beef that up. Maybe let's add a lead magnet. Maybe let's add a paid course onto that, because it would have live data that is streaming into it from all of these other services. This is more advanced, but something that once you've done the audit, once you've done your basic SEO setup, this would be a really cool thing to do. So don't try and do all of this at the same time in one day. It's going to be exhausting. You will probably run out of Claude Code tokens as well. What I'd recommend is, for now, get this skill installed. So you set up Claude Code. You literally say, go and grab this skill from Agrici Daniel Claude SEO. Then you are going to run your first audit. That's enough to get started. And then we'll set up some scheduled tasks to go through the plan, and over time plug its way through that large audit backed strategic plan, and it will prioritize for you. So it should be doing things like title tags. Some pages won't have titles, or all the pages will have the same title. That's terrible for SEO. Things like the header hierarchy, so H1, H2, H3, etc., is the size of your header, and that is one way that Google works out the structure of your page and what the main important points are. I'll show you what that looks like very quickly. If we look at catalog, go into one of these. So this is H1 header. That is the largest header. So that is telling Google that this is about building room public, and this is part 1 of a series. And then an H2 would be something like this, which is a smaller header, and we might have an H3. It's an H2. There we go. This is an H3, which is a sub point within an H2. You can see the structure of it here. So we have our main one, and then we have H2s and a bunch of H3s inside. So the AI will work all of that out for you and work out the best structure. Over time, start to upgrade your content, not necessarily making new content, but optimizing what you already have. Prioritize the ones that already get traffic, worthwhile upgrading, and set that on a scheduled task so that every night it will tackle 5 pages, present the results to you in the morning, and you okay them. Good to go. Work through that over time. Extremely powerful tool, and it's going to save you tens, if not hundreds of thousands for your business over a year, and start to bring you traffic. I have put together a guide to walk you through step by step the installation process, how much you're going to be saving. Again, I'm just showing you how you can implement it, because I know for a lot of people, they will look at this and they'll be like, I don't know what that means. So I want to make sure this is accessible to everybody, which is why I wrote this guide. If you're watching the live right now, subscribe to the newsletter at aiwithkyle.com. Join here, totally free, and you'll get sent this. It's going to be an issue. If you're watching this later on YouTube or wherever you are right now, look below the video or look in the link in my bio, and you'll be able to grab a copy of all of this. Cool. Hopefully this was useful. I'm going to flip over to questions. Awesome. Let's have a look. Hey Jesse, how you doing? Good morning. Lookman says, such great information. Hello. Still, the question is how to sync Claude Code. Use Claude to generate the prompt for code. I mean, you can just copy paste it, honestly. So I use Claude to generate the prompt for code. Yes, me too. So I will often do kind of my thinking in Claude, going back and forth, because Claude Code is much too likely to just start. It will just jump in and try to do the work. And I'm like, no, calm down. So I will often do thinking inside of Claude and then have it put together a project plan in an artifact. That is something I can share. I will copy that artifact over into Claude Code and say, hey, this is the plan we're going to be following. Please review it, ask me any clarifying questions, and then get to work. It doesn't really sync directly. One of the annoying things about Claude is that co-work and code are separated out. Sometimes I'll be doing something in co-work and I'll want it to reference something in Claude Code, but it can't because it doesn't have that connection. Now that we have computer usage, it can navigate over to Claude Code manually and find the stuff it needs inside of Claude Code and then bring that back. That's a workaround. It's fiddly. That's not very useful. So yeah, there's no direct way to sync it. I run WTFisthis.tech. This is Dale Automates. I run WTFisthis.tech, breaking down AI coding terms, Kyla's inspired build. Awesome. Tech terms explained simply with interactive demos you can actually play with. No PhD required. Interactive demos included. Actually useful. We love that. So, oh, there we go. Do we have MCP? Because we had MCP earlier. Oh, we need to add MCP, Dale. Here we go. API though, because I'm always talking about APIs and I always get a comment in my chat. It's like, what is an API? I try to be better about not using jargon, but it is a lot easier sometimes. So an API is a messenger that lets two apps talk to each other like a waiter taking your order to the kitchen. Imagine you're at a restaurant, you don't go to the kitchen, you tell the waiter what you want and they bring it back. The waiter is the API. Yeah, the kitchen is the other system. You just ask and stuff comes back. Oh, I like this. So your browser via the internet, CatFat. Oh, this is really cool, Dale. Awesome. Dale's built a little visual demonstration of what an API is. So you have your device, your telephone or your computer, you send a request. That request goes up into a server, up into the cloud to either ChatGPT or in this case, CatFact API. The processing of what you actually need, so your prompt or your CatFact, will be done on their server, and then they send back a response in a nice little package, which comes back to your computer. A lot of the stuff that we do online right now uses that method. So the processing, the actual working out of your request is not done on your computer. It is done somewhere on a server. And the way that we do this is through something called an API. So we're sending information back and forward. So it's the API is the waiter between you, the customer at the table, and the chef in the kitchen. You don't go directly to the chef. You give your order to the waiter. The waiter goes to the kitchen. You also don't go and pick up your food from the kitchen, and the chef doesn't bring you your food. No, again, it's the waiter that picks up the food and brings it back to your table. So that is exactly what an API is. Very cool. Very, very cool. So make sure you check this out, guys. This is WTFisthis.tech. Check this out, and thank you for sharing. I missed the start of the stream. Is this all in the newsletter? Yep. Yes, it is. Should be in letter, or it's on YouTube or podcast too. Yes. So I'm not consistent about when I do my live, but I do my live every day, pretty much. Somewhere between 10 a.m. and 12-ish. Yeah, it will be in the newsletter as a recap. Plus, it will be edited and a cleaner version of the live stream will be up on YouTube as well. So don't worry about missing it. Learning so much from you. Thank you. That's why I do this. If you don't have a website, Claude will help build one too, correct? Yeah, Claude can help build a website for you. The simplest way to use Claude Code in particular, because Claude Code is, I would argue it's the best tool for most jobs, but it is a little bit technically complex. I'll show you the install guide for Claude Code. Here we go, quick start. If you go onto the official documentations, this is the quick start. It's like, just open up your terminal and put in a quick curl. If you've used the terminal before, this is fine. If you're fine using a command line, then yes, this is easy. If you've never used a terminal or command line in your life, you're looking at this like, what the hell? And that's even before you begin. So they have made it easier, thankfully. If you just go to claude.com/download, there is a Claude desktop app. And inside of that app, they have chat, Claude Cowork, and Claude Code. You can do it directly inside of this application. This is the easiest way to get started. Technically, it's more powerful in the terminal, but this is fine as a starting place. We walk before we run here. Claude can help build you one. You will need to sort out hosting. Claude will build you something, but it needs to live somewhere. A few days ago, I did a presentation on how you deploy to the internet. You're going to need a host. You're going to need a domain. So you can buy a domain name, like aiwithkyle.com is a domain name. I bought that at Namecheap. It costs about $10 a year. They're not expensive. You can use something like Vercel to host. There are lots of other ones, but Vercel is free up until at a certain point. If a lot of people are coming to your website, then you might need to pay Vercel. It's $20 a month, but it needs to become quite popular before that becomes a problem. You can use Vercel. There's also Netlify, which I don't use, but I hear very good things about it. This should be free until you get to a certain size. So free forever. 300 credit limit a month. I don't know what that means. So I don't know if that's a problem or not. Your website lives on that host and people can access it. I did a presentation about that a few days ago. Let me see if I can find it. I've done so many of them. It's probably this. So I talked about the Vibe Coders tool stack, my stack basically. So GitHub, Supabase, Vercel, Namecheap for the domain, Stripe for taking payments, Resend for sending transactional emails, Beehive for marketing emails, Posthog for analytics and Google Analytics as well. It's actually free. That's all free apart from the domain name, which is going to cost you $10 a month. So if you look up update 164, you can get that full guide as well. This is brilliant. Exactly what I need right now. Just completed a build for a client that works awesome. So need my website on point when I go live. Yeah, website. One thing I will say about search engine optimization is it is not needed for every single website. I was talking to a student yesterday about this. They're setting up a landing page for their workshop business. So people will come to this page and will be able to book workshops. And they were asking about search engine optimization and what do they need to do. And I pushed back. I said, you might not need search engine optimization for this. For landing pages, for sales pages, for pages where you just kind of need to get somebody there, that when those pages don't have a lot of content, when they don't have a blog, when they don't have resources, for example, it's hard to rank them on Google because Google sees that as a very thin site, not providing much value. So a website like AI with Kyle has, I think, 2.5 million words on it. So there's a huge amount of content for Google to look at and index. This is a good target for search engine optimization. However, not all websites are. So if you have thin content, it's going to be hard to rank. But there are other ways to drive people to your website. So a lot of websites don't need search engine optimization. They just need to be basically a brochure, a portfolio to show what you do, and you use other methods to get people to that website. So you use social media, link to the website, advertising, pushes to the website. Search engine optimization is just one method. It's one channel amongst many. So just because you've heard search engine optimization is useful for your business, that's not necessarily true in your business. Some businesses run fully on advertising and they do not require any search engine optimization because it's not something that people would even think to look for. I saw a little toy thing on TikTok the other day, which is a box and it has lots of switches around it. And when you flick a switch, the lid comes up, a little octopus pops out, it frowns at you and it flicks the switch and goes back in. So it's a stupid little toy. There's no way that I would know about that product and be on Google searching for, oh, I want a little box that has switches that an octopus comes out of and it looks annoyed at me and it closes the box whenever I flick the switch. That's not something I'm going to search for on Google. So that is a business where they are going to be relying on social media, people buying this thing and sharing it and showing what it looks like. They're going to be relying on advertising, showing me that on TikTok. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I click on the website. They're not going to be using search engine optimization. So not all businesses need this, but if your business does need this, use this skill. But don't feel you have to do this because this might not be a good use of time, depending on your business, depending on your objectives. I spent so much time with him lately. Hello, I'm late. What's the topic? We're talking about search engine optimization so that I can't miss the next live tuned in from Kenya. Lovely. How that's so cool. I love the internet for this, that we have people all over the world who are able to just chat and talk and learn together. Really cool. So we talked about search engine optimization. Everything will be in the newsletter. If you go to aiwithkyle.com, you'll be able to get the clean version of this video, so the edited version, plus this checklist that I put together, which shows you how to use a Claude skill to do search engine optimization, to do an audit, and to implement. That will be in the newsletter. So that is free at aiwithkyle.com. I sometimes get feedback on the Claude produced prompt in other LLMs. Makes sense. Yeah, go take the work from one LLM and give it to another. This is purely anecdotal, but if you tell Claude that you've done something in ChatGPT and you bring it over to Claude and you say, can you have a look at this? ChatGPT did it. It would dump on the work. It'd be like, oh, I see what it's done wrong here, and vice versa. So ChatGPT will be like, oh yeah, Claude's tried really hard, but it definitely made some mistakes. So you have to be careful of that. I built Sequestered.ai with your help and inspiration. Let's have a look at it. Sequestered.ai. This is from Ben. Ooh, this is nice. I like clean pages like this. He said, I built Sequestered.ai with your help and inspiration, private browser-based LLM using web LLM. Very cool. So uncompromised intelligence, absolute privacy. Analyze sensitive documents with AI that never leaves your browser, no servers, no uploads, no data leaks. So this will be running a local engine in my Chrome browser, presumably. Oh, you said web LLM. Okay. Built for consultants, bankers, lawyers, and anyone handling work too sensitive for the cloud. Enterprise ready, individual plans at $30 a month. Drop your documents, processed locally. Small language model runs on your device GPU via web GPU. Documents are embedded and indexed in browser. Get answers locally. Very cool. I love the design. Governance, big question. We've got SSO. So this is for everyone watching. Sequestered.ai, built by Ben. How's your move to Cyprus going? Vindaloo says. Poorly. You can see behind me the bookshelves are being emptied out and I'm selling lots of stuff. It's a mess. Like the house is full of boxes. But we're getting there. So I'm going to be Airbnb-ing out this property. So thankfully I don't need to move the furniture. I don't need to like sell beds and mattresses. So it's mainly moving games, board games, books and electronics and clothing. So it's not too bad. Just started using Vercel. Amazing what it does and how good it works. Yeah, Vercel's great. Oh, side note, no commercial use on the free plan. Okay, I mean, that makes sense. I don't know how they check, honestly. Between Kyle and Sabrina, I'm a genius. Sabrina's wonderful. Sabrina's, if anyone who doesn't know Sabrina, she's got a Substack, but she's also very prolific on social media, so TikTok and Instagram in particular, and is very generous with her knowledge and gives away a lot of information. Very smart. Pull up her Instagram, and I highly recommend you follow her. She also has a group for female entrepreneurs and female users of artificial intelligence, so worth looking at. But just generally, all of her stuff is well worth following and being in her ecosystem. Very smart, very generous as well. So make sure you're following her. I'm getting people in YouTube saying, love Sabrina. Yeah, everyone does. And for good reason. Between Kyle and Sabrina, yeah. Hi, Money Machine. Ocular Record says she is amazing. I'll have to text her this. Hey, Sabrina, they love you. Would really like to get my head around multi-agent setups and how they actually work together. Yeah, what kind of thing you're trying to do? Jeff says, we'll follow Sabrina Ramanov. Awesome. Thank you for shouting them out, by the way. Yeah, no, Sabrina's great. Not a lawyer, but in the US, I'm pretty sure if information is shared with an LLM, it's discoverable. Do you mean for Sequestered? This is using web LLM and web GPU. It will be inside. It's an LLM locally inside of your browser, so no information goes back and forward. This is not a cloud-based LLM, so it should be okay. Nate is also a good one. Let's shout everyone out. So Nate B. Jones, who you'll probably recognize. He hasn't got a picture of himself here. You'll definitely recognize him as soon as you see him. Is he on TikTok or Instagram? There's one that he's not on. There he is. Okay, he's on TikTok and not Instagram. So this is Nate B. Jones. His knowledge is astounding. Whenever I watch Nate's videos, I feel stupid. Like, oh, wow. I don't know anything. Nate is simplifying topics, like very complicated topics. He's able to explain them in a way which makes them digestible, which is the mark of an educator, really is. So Nate B. Jones, Sabrina Ramanov, I highly recommend following them. Funnily enough, I ran into Nate B. Jones in the street, and we were both in a European city that neither of us lived in, and we bumped into each other. And it was such a weird, you know, when you see somebody and they're so out of context that you just cannot place them. This was in a foreign city that I didn't live in, that he didn't live in. There's no reason for him to be there. We just walked into each other in the street. My brain did not register until like 30 seconds afterwards. I was like, I swear that's Nate B. Jones. And I was like, do you happen to be in this city right now? I was like, yeah. Absolutely bizarre. Oh, and Marcin. We love Marcin too. Let's shout everyone out. Marcin's great. I'm actually talking to him about, I'm going to do some stuff with his vibe coding community. So this is Marcin. And I met him. He came over to London. When was that? Would have been last summer. And a bunch of us met up. And it was wonderful. It's wonderful meeting these people that you see online every day. And then you meet them in real life. And you're like, oh, you're real. That's really cool. So Marcin's great. Marcin he focuses on vibe coding. So he's on TikTok and Instagram, like everybody. He's nearly 500,000 on TikTok. That is superb. And he's also done stuff with Sabrina as well. He is no nonsense. He's helping a lot of people actually start building, which is so, so important. He runs a, what is it, school? Let me find it. It is AI Builders. This one. So AI Builders over on School, which is a community. There are lots of these kind of communities. Marcin, I'm in there. It's one of the only ones that is actually active. A lot of these communities get set up and they don't really kind of go anywhere. He's keeping it alive and people are actually building stuff and making money, which is very cool. Who else do we want to shout out? I chat with Nate twice a month. He's the real thing. Smart guy. Really smart guy. The fact that Nate can just talk to camera for 4 or 5 minutes about a topic is mind-blowing. When you make content like I do, you realize, oh my God, how is he's not stumbling over his words. He knows what he's talking about. Able to talk for minutes at a time in such a structured way. Really cool. Okay, Monina says, Kyle, Nate, Sabrina, Marcin, top tier. I'll take that. In fact, I'm going to screenshot that and send it to them. We're probably leaving someone out. I'll feel bad if we are, but I'm going to screenshot that anyway. Awesome. Thank you, guys. If you found this useful, this SEO, AI SEO playbook, the skill itself is Agrici Daniel / Claude SEO. I've put together a guide walking you through how you'd go about using it because the instructions that he gave are a little bit complicated if you've never used anything like this before. If this is the first step and you've never used the terminal, you're looking at this and you're like, what the hell is he talking about? So I've just made it a bit simpler, that's all. But he did all of the work of creating the skill. That was not me. So this is a guide which will help walk you through. It will be in the newsletter. And if you're watching this later on YouTube or wherever you are right now, it will be in the link either below the video or up in my bio. For those of you on the live stream now, though, come over to aiwithkyle.com, join the community, and I'll send you over everything once it's all been processed. Cool. Thank you, everybody, and I will be back